finally voice chat back. But let me turn it off though. Yeah, bro, this Wi-Fi has been buns these past 3 days. This game genuinely gotta get fixed, bro. It's so annoying. God damn.
Yo, right now.
And yo, the lag spikes are still here, dude. This is crazy. Ah, damn it. It's gonna kick me out the game. Holy shit, every time. How does it feel so weird? Where's my weapons? Oh god damn it, dude. No, I was supposed to go for the long one. Yo, the delay is literally still here. This is crazy. Like, all I'm doing is trying to double edit, bro. This is insane. Yeah, fuck that shit, G. Oh, hey, why did nobody kill? Oh my god, this is the second time I... God, man, that's not fair, bro. Bro, this is so... What is this gun, bro? This shit's hitting for like 30 only, god damn. Hasn't hit for more than 30 at all, and this guy's ass cheeks, holy shit. God damn, bro, I'm mad I died to him even while he was... Finally, give me my mats, bro. I thought I didn't get weapons right there. Yes, you are dead, man. Just accept it. Come on, can like the delay just stop just for a little bit, dude? It's actually annoying. I have to reload. I don't even use it. Whatever. Oh my god. Oh, a rifle? What rifle just one-shotted me? I absolutely guess I got hit with a rifle, bro. I guess, man.
And he sent the Marines all the way from the United States to the Mediterranean, to North Africa. No declaration of war, okay? So what I'm saying, and this is not all the liberals love it when I say this, I'm not really sure the War Powers Act really works constitutionally the way it is. Starting something that is clearly war, because there's gray areas. There's the quasi-war, there's smaller actions that are not full-on wars, like Washington engaging Native American tribes. And then there's World War II, the last time we declared war, okay? We looked at Korea as an international policing action, and we went to the UN. We didn't think of it, and we didn't want to frame the war as us declaring war against North Korea or the Korean people or anything like that. So look, that was the 1950s. So this is not some new thing with Obama, and we mentioned the Clinton. Like, there's a lot of leeway under the Constitution, depending how you prefer it, and this has not been settled. The War Powers Act is still not settled, okay? But there's a lot of leeway for different presidents to have done different actions and to argue legally and constitutionally that they weren't just being fucking assholes. That is not what we have here with Trump. I'm sorry. This is, and I would not say this about George W. Bush. Did I agree with the Iraq War? No. He did go to Congress. He did go to the UN, okay? Trump hasn't done any of this. Craig's made this point. I made this point. And here you have a liberal and a conservative who are putting the Constitution first. And my goodness, I just hope we can win people like you back to realize maybe I agree with what Donald Trump's doing. But as an American, he's doing it the wrong way. He's doing it illegally and unconstitutionally. He's betraying our values and our allies in the process. Therefore, I can't support it. What has disgusted me, and I'm not trying to make this about you, sir, but just there's so many people in this country who they don't care about the rule of law and the Constitution anymore. As long as it's their agenda and they're getting what they want and the people they don't like are being punished, who cares about the rule of law anymore? And the polling actually shows this. There's all these people that support autocracy and question democracy in America, in both parties even. So I'm terrified that we've lost someone who seems like a nice guy like Jason, who just says, you know what? We're already underway. Woohoo! Who cares about the Constitution? Because that's where MAGA and Trump are.
Yeah, so that
I'm being a little bit unfair, but honestly,
yeah.
it's also kind of not that far from the truth, frankly.
The
saying, let's not question the president during a war.
Are we so dead ass right now, bro? Or are we genuinely so dead ass, dude? Anybody gonna speak or? So confused. But yo, stay silent. Okay, my thing just bugged for some reason.
Under the checks and balances of our Constitution. Yeah, I hold the Constitution very dear. I hold the Constitution in the highest esteem, and our ability to freely vote in elections in the highest esteem. But by no means am I championing or rah, 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 or don't question the president because we're at war. No, there needs to be more questions when things are happening. But my point is that we're already, I think, past that stage. You're not going to be able to rail it back in, have a congressional hearing, and go, all right, I guess you have to stop dropping bombs now because you didn't get the approval. I'm just saying we're past that point. I'm not discounting that that's an important point, but that's where we are.
So if the Constitution doesn't have a point that you're past, and you don't, and you're saying we're past that point, then you're not supporting the Constitution, because there's nowhere in the Constitution that allows for what you're saying. So you either support it or you don't. And you're saying, oh well, you don't. I mean, that's what you just said. I know you said you didn't say that, but honestly, you did.
Okay, so I want to go to Red Rider, and then we've got AB, but I want to read something first, okay? Because when I came back to the space, I kind of heard this conversation happening, and it's one that we've been having frequently even. But let me pull this up real quick. Okay, this is Prime Minister Netanyahu on Fox, and I want to get your thoughts. I'm not even going to set it up. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Iran for 47 years has been chanting death to America. They bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump, the president of the United States, twice. They murdered their own people. They massacred so many, and they spread a worldwide web of terror. This is a regime committed to destroying the United States of America. I wanted to read this because, and I see your response, AB, but I don't know if you're going to like where I'm going with this. The conversation we were having, and the conversation we've repeatedly been having, is, what are the objectives? What are we doing here? Earlier, I think about an hour or so ago, we were talking about, statements from Rubio. And so I'm curious to Red Rider. I want to go to Red Rider first. What are your thoughts when you hear that from Netanyahu on Fox to the American public?
As an American, and I'm an independent American, so I'm not one of those where I don't love Trump, but I also don't hate him. I think about things on a policy standpoint, base by base, right? And so, regardless of what Netanyahu says, I really don't care. I'm going to reason it as an American under what I feel like the president's working on within his allowed powers to protect our interests. And so I'll say Brian did make a lot of accurate points, in my opinion, in regards to the history or the presidents of different approaches to this. The one thing I would disagree on is I do think there is debate on whether or not the War Powers Act of 1973 is actually constitutional. In my personal opinion, I think it is.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah, and so I think it hasn't even been decided upon. So like it hasn't been brought to the Supreme Court to decide whether it's constitutional or not. I think if it was, it would get struck down and they would have to propose a new legislation with better guidelines because there is some non-clarity in Constitution. What is it, Article 2, Section 2, or whatever it is, about the war powers or the executive chief, commander in chief ability of the executive branch of the presidency. But when you think about it from a first principle, right, we're a nation state, it's an empire. In some senses, like you do have to have a single head, and this is the way America kind of did it during the revolution. There's a single head that has to have somewhat of authoritative power to decide for the best interest and protection of its base, both in an offensive and defensive measure. You know, war isn't just defensive; it's also offensive and preemptive strikes, and we've seen that throughout the history of the U.S. So, in my opinion, you know, if you even look into, like, let's say you're on the other side of this and you think the War Powers Act is constitutional, you know, all it says is that the president has to notify Congress within 48 hours after hostile actions. It doesn't mean like he has to bring up why he did it. That doesn't necessarily mean he has to present evidence, right? And here's the other thing: as long as new hostile actions take place, it resets the clock. So when we're talking about what's happening in Iran, with hostile actions happening there, the reality of it, and this is where Jason's getting at, is there's nothing that Trump is going to do that's going to violate it, even if Congress disagrees with it. He has the power to continually react and address Iran, probably to its eventual full course played out, because he has
Vietnam. So Vietnam.
Yeah. Yes. I'm saying, Greg,
do Vietnam again.
I don't like that. I'm just saying this is what the legal structure is allowing for. So Craig, I understand it, because here's the thing: you have people who what was set up with the Iraqi wars. We have a lot of veterans who went and died and saw their friends die based off of a lie, right, or false information. So I understand, but like that's the lessons learned, and we're trying to prevent that. But what I'm saying is there has been no legal structure or attempt to try to figure out what is the constitutionality of this, and or if we need to restructure the approach, because it really is up to a wide array of interpretation. That's why you see Bush did it differently, Clinton did it differently, Obama did it differently, Biden did it differently, and now Trump's doing it differently. And I
would just gently again remind people, right? Just gently remind people that that Trump has struck more countries than Obama ever did. He has engaged in military strikes against more nations than Obama ever did, right? And he did that, believe it or not.
I think that's patently false, to be honest with you.
No, it's a statistical fact.
It's math.
It's statistical fact. It's a statistical fact. He has struck more countries than Obama did. He has engaged in more military actions in more countries than Obama did. That's a statistical fact. The Wall Street Journal made that clear and obvious.
Right, a bastion of fairness in journalism, sure.
So we can okay. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that you can say that the law itself has some ambiguity, right? But that's the same reason. But the same law that George Bush went to war with in Iraq was the same law that Obama used to justify actions in Libya, and people hated his actions in Libya, even though he was using the law, right? No, I don't think anybody here is a fan of what Obama did in Libya, but he cited the AUMF. Trump isn't citing anything. He is saying, through his Secretary of State, he is saying that Israel was going to attack Iran. And Israel told us this. Israel's going to attack Iran. So in order for us to protect ourselves, we have to, for all intents and purposes, follow Israel's lead, right? Follow what Israel is saying it's going to do, and strike overwhelmingly against the regime and knock the whole regime out. The regime thing was Israel's plan. Remember that it was Israel that decided to kill the supreme leader and everybody else. It was their bomb that did it, not ours. Right? It wasn't our bomb that did it. It was an Israeli jet that did it. They hacked the traffic cameras. They followed the intelligence. So what we're saying here, from a legal perspective, we want to get legal or traditions and customs. What I'm saying here is what I think everybody has been trying to get their hands on has finally been made clear. Israel said that it told Trump, we're going to strike Iran, we're going to kill the supreme leader, we're going to kill a large portion of the IRGC, we're going to kill a large portion of their leadership. And you know what that means. It means that they're going to strike you too. So get in while the getting's good. That is a foreign country telling us that we need to go to war. We are the largest supplier of arms to Israel in the world. We have the closest relationship to Israel out of probably any country in the world. And we couldn't say, whoa, 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 what are we doing here? Before you go kill the Ayatollah, before you go kill the clerics and the mullahs and the IRGC and get us bogged down in a war, let's talk about this. That didn't happen, right? And we know it didn't happen because we've been pre-positioning assets for 2 months. For 2 months.
So,
which
Craig,
means Israel didn't say, hey, we got the intelligence, we're going.
It
said,
I appreciate your thoughts on that. Try to land it because
So what I'm saying is that we're debating about legals and customs, but the reality of this situation is that a foreign country told us we're going to war, so you have to too. That's the problem that I have here, and that Trump didn't deliver.
Why do I keep having to get out of it, dude?
Red Ryder said too, because you can't, and I always say, just like I talk about Iran and say we're not a monolith, and I think it's just wrong to say all Iranians are happy or all Iranians want this or all Iranians whatever. I think we could say the same thing about Americans, right, guys? So, in that regard, I can appreciate Red Ryder saying, he doesn't really care, because there are Americans that just don't care. We have Americans that care about a dozen other things. That said, though, for the ones that do care to an extent, especially when we have this climate in the United States, and I said this before, I think many of you have heard me say this, one of the signals I was looking for before these strikes happened was, is Trump going to check off all the boxes on the domestic side for that buy-in? And what we're seeing is a lot of fractures in that buy-in because of that. And so the reason I wanted to read the transcript from Netanyahu's interview on Fox is because it does speak to some of that buy-in. So as an American voter, I think it's important for us to kind of recognize that could also impact the perception of the average American voter as well, saying, why is the leader or the prime minister of another country in America making the case that, saying the words that we clearly wanted to hear our president say, and I think that it could create some animosity or contention, and already a very, very, how do I say this, volatile situation, I guess, in politics in America too.
Can I make one quick comment in response to that, very quick?
Yeah, but I think Jason wanted to say something real quick on it too, unless that was an accidental mic. And AB, I see you. We're going to come to you.
No, I think
cool. I'll be like 10 seconds.
Exactly,
I'll just be 10 seconds and then I'll be quiet. Oh, sorry, Jason, you can go first. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you hit it exactly on the head here. And yeah, I mean, I agree with Craig on to some extent. We've been pulled into a war, not by our own will, it seems like. And I think this speaks to the fracture within the MAGA base at the moment. You've got those that are, America first. I think that's across the board. But then when it comes particularly to Israel, there is a fracture in the MAGA base. And that's playing out right now amongst conservatives. Some people are gung-ho no matter what. And some people are like, hey, wait a minute. We shouldn't be doing the bidding of another country, even if by and large, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not a bad thing to remove the mullahs, but the approach has been anything but, the way we would want it to go. So I understand that and the dynamic there. But again, I mean, we're neck deep into this. We got dragged in. We went in willingly. We didn't go in willingly. at the end of the day, yeah, our soldiers are in harm's way right now, and a lot of other countries are in harm's way. So it's a very different dynamic than Iraq, than any other conflict that's happened. And I said this earlier. This is a completion of post October 7th. Israel decimated Hamas, Haniya, Sinwar, anybody in the Hamas leadership gone. Even in Qatar, they did a strike. They decimated Hezbollah with the pagers. Hezbollah is a skeleton of what it used to be. In Syria, Assad is gone. The supply line from Iran is gone to Hezbollah. Israel has now military posts. They took the Golan and said, that's ours forever. Forget about it. They have military posts within 25 kilometers of Damascus, and the Syrian leadership is now openly talking with Israel about a path forward. And so this is the crown jewel of finishing the trifecta, is taking out the Iranian leadership and setting the stage for a whole new Middle East.
I don't know why the volume keeps going off, bro.
There's space for that sort of viewpoint, in the world today. And that's just where we're at. I mean, ultimately, everyone's got a varying interest, and some interests are converging and a lot are diverging. It's not pretty by any stretch, but this is the table that's been set in front of us, and this is where we're at.
I appreciate that, Jason. We're going to go to AB now. Brian, wait, you said you had something for 10 seconds, and then we'll go to AB.
Yeah, just really quick. No, I just want to say I use the same language, but I think we have to be very, very clear. This is not some, Zionist control of the U.S. government or anything like that. This is one president, as many presidents have, choosing for whatever different reasons, and it's often because there's incredibly passionate, very high voting participatory demographics, in particular evangelical Christians, who are more supportive. If you look at polling, they're more supportive of Likud and Israel's settlement project and expansionism than American Jews. Let me just repeat that. Evangelical Christians, white evangelical Christians in the U.S. are more supportive of the extreme policies of Israel than so it's there are reasons Trump is doing this. It's not out of the kindness of his heart. He thinks he's getting something. And it's probably that's his base. Some of the people I described, almost all those people, that's his base. So he may think he's looking great to his base. Maybe he thinks he's making his mark in history. But look, certainly Bibi manipulated him, no question whatsoever. But he let himself be manipulated, and then he made the call. So I just wanted to make that.
Thanks, Brian. AB, it is definitely your turn to talk now. Glad to have you back. Bara,
thank you.
Actually, before you say, I needed to make an announcement real quick. BitSquire is the other co-host here. There's a technical glitch, so technically he doesn't look like he's a co-host, but he is a co-host and is here to support and get involved. So if he jumps in the middle of a conversation, please understand that. Just pretend he has co-host next to his name.
Hey guys, happy to be here, Ozzy. Thank you so much, and hope I can keep the conversation going. And co-host tag or not, let's keep it going into the evening.
Thanks, Vic. Go ahead, AB.
Yeah, I'll say this as quietly and calmly as I can, and hopefully people can just follow along. So I'm going to be factual here. If Craig was worried that, or anybody else, if they're actually worried, as opposed to pretending to be worried as a pretense, that the president of the world's preeminent superpower can't say metaphorically or literally, whoa, 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 don't do this. I will hearken you back to the time when all of us were old enough in June of last year during the so-called 12-day war. And, the 12-day war broke out, and America came in and did their very quick, too bad, it looks like Craig dropped. Oh, no, he's still here. America came in and did their very quick but very important contribution called Operation Midnight Hammer. And then the war continued for a couple more days, and then a ceasefire was struck. Right? I think this is This is going to be people are going to remember
Well, it was a
this.
pause. It was a pause, not a ceasefire. But keep going.
A cessation of hostilities, temporary, obviously, as it turned out. And then the ceasefire was struck. Iran did a couple of strikes after, technically, which happens all the time in Middle Eastern warfare. Technically, after the ceasefire broke out, the Israelis were literally on their way to do a massive retaliatory airstrike. And Donald Trump literally, not figuratively, literally called them back from mid-air flight. They were, I believe, already in Iranian airspace or about to enter Iranian airspace with a colorful language and curses, and said, "These guys," he said about the Iranian regime and about the Israeli government. By the way, I resented that as somebody who values the relationship.
Of course, the volume is out again. Like, bro.
How's he still here? Of the world's preeminent superpower. Also, after Israel struck Qatar, the Hamas headquarters in Qatar, and killed one Qatari security guard or police officer, along with a couple Hamas people, forced Bibi Netanyahu in the Oval Office in front of him like a school child to call the Qatari emir and apologize to him in order to get things rolling again, right? So it beggars belief, but I just see it's happening due to the onslaught of absolutely retarded propaganda that has come on left and right. Okay, people. I heard a bunch of people say, "Hey, this is not a left or right issue. This is a." You're right, and this being retarded about Israel, or being retarded about the Jews, or being retarded about the Zionists, or being retarded about America is also not a left or right issue. Retardation comes in all shapes and sizes. And the horseshoe theory is not a theory; it is a fact, right? Because Tucker Carlson, just to use the most prominent example, is a lot closer to Ilhan Omar or Barack Obama, for that matter, on foreign policy than he is to the typical conservative. As to whether there's, I just get so pissed about these objective falsehoods. As to whether there's like authorization.
Going off again. Oh my gosh, bro, his stare goes over my head like every time. Swear I thought I pre-edited it. I edited it back.
The way that Congress can prevent a warfare is they have exclusive authority over the power of the purse. Anytime Congress does not want a policy to continue, they can say no funds, not a single red penny is allowed to be spent on anything, whether it's Medicare or deployment of soldiers to overseas or whatever, or we can abolish the Department of Defense for all that matter.
Well,
Congress is allowed to do those things.
How about we let Brian? Brian's got.
Sorry?
I think Brian's got some thoughts on some of those topics you were touching on. Brian, what do you think?
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up with this. I'm just asking because I've heard Craig so many times over the last few years, and he's a really smart guy, and I genuinely have a lot of respect for him. But a lot of people are buying into objectively, not subjectively because it hurts my feelings, objectively bad logic, objectively stupid things, and objectively conspiracy theories. Marco Rubio did not say and did not imply that Israel, quote unquote, dragged us in. Right. And I've just demonstrated examples of how the president has and can spank Israel whenever the hell he wants to. Any president. Barack Obama made Netanyahu apologize to Erdogan of Turkey because he was trying to bring them together and they're both allies, et cetera, et cetera. It's just crazy that you think that the president is being led around the nose by, as you say, by a country that relies on them, by a country that does not have a UN Security Council veto, by a country that's 1/35 the size of America, right? In order to believe that, you have to believe in the Epstein peasant conspiracy theory that Bibi Netanyahu or someone has blackmail on Donald Trump and went to him and said, "Hey, Donald, unless you agree to bomb Iran for us, we're going to drag you into this. I'm going to release the non-existent pictures of you dragging a 12-year-old girl."
Can I simply? All I'm going to do.
Otherwise, what you're saying makes no sense.
I'm not. No.
Can I just say two things real quick, Craig, before seeing the ground to you?
Yeah,
just
let's
two
let
quick
Brian.
things.
Brian, you have the floor.
The Jefferson sent the Marines before Congress. It was a retroactive bullshit thing. It's a good thing they did it because it made them not look as weak and whatever. But Jefferson sent the Marines when Congress was out of session, and the authorization did not come till after they had been engaged. All right, so you gotta know the details. Details matter.
Okay,
the details matter.
Let me
wait, and then before I see the Craig, look. The unitary executive theory is such an extreme. I mean, that's Scalia and Thomas territory. Okay, just so everybody knows, it's an extreme theory on presidential authority, and these people are nuts. And AB is proving it.
The same Constitution that you say you revere says only the president, under Article 2, is the commander-in-chief. You don't have 535 people deciding how and when the U.S. military will fight.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
Congress is allowed to decide how they spend money. That's what Congress. The president has no authority on that.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Stop.
That's the division of labor in the actual Constitution that you say you revere.
Guys, let's all. Let's back it up,
Gentlemen.
Brian, finish.
Yeah.
Why don't you finish your thought? Then we're gonna go to Renzo.
Well, I was happy to hear. Craig could go. Maybe I'll go after him, but because I know he's champion here.
All I'm going to do is just read verbatim what Marco Rubio said. This is all I'm going to do. Quote, "There was absolutely an imminent threat, and it was that we knew that if Iran was attacked," I'll say that again, "and it was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believe that they would be attacked," meaning that we believe that Israel was going to attack Iran. I'll continue. Quote, "We believe that they would be attacked, that we would imminently come after us," that they, meaning the Iranians, would immediately come after us, and we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow. That is what he said. That is chronologically, logically, and every other ology that there is that says there was no imminent attack prior to Israel's anticipated action, which means the idea. No, stop, AB. You had your chance.
I'd like you to read the quote. I just wanted to respond to it, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
So that means that there was no imminent threat without Israel's action. If Israel wasn't going to act, there was not an imminent threat against U.S. forces. That is how. Listen, I have read enough law, I have read enough contracts, and I've read enough legal gobbledygook, both good and bad, to understand chronological association of events. And what Rubio is saying is that if you remove the attack, meaning they were going to attack, meaning the Israelis were going to attack.
Are you GTJ
if you remove that sentence,
is that you?
Then there was no threat to American forces. Zero. No threat at all.
Sure I know
That's not what he said. Now you're
that
reading
is exactly
into it.
what he
no,
said.
No, no, no,
Stop
no.
trying to spin it.
There's a difference between imminent threat
exactly what
and
he said.
threat.
Stop trying to spin
No.
it.
I said, what's it called? Are you GTJ on YouTube? And yeah, I'm just watching, you know. Just making sure I'm updated on anything and stuff. What was that? I can't even see like what's going on. It's kind of dumb. Yo, thank you for the follow, Hannah Wilson. Your stream lagging, Furrow? Is my stream really lagging? Lagging in voice or Dude, I'm just trying to fix my thing right now. Very lagging. Screen? Hold on, let me see it. Let me see it from my phone. I don't see no lag. It must just be your Wi-Fi. I'm looking at it from my phone right now. I'm so serious. I'm literally looking at it from my phone. So you guys can even see that. It's not lagging.
He was talking about. He's saying based off of all of the data points that he has, all of the evidence, you know, and maybe the question is, what is that evidence, Craig? Like, what are those points that you're looking
his
at?
evidence consists of that Rubio. His evidence, he told us what his evidence is.
But
His
that's
evidence
not
consists
all
of
of
that
it,
one.
though. I mean, I've
that
been
one
listening to
Rubio
Craig
statement.
talking about this for a couple of months now. That's not all of it that he sees as
That's
evidence.
that's what he's saying now. Hold on, Ozzy. That's what he's saying now. He's saying his evidence that Israel, quote unquote, dragged America into the war consists of that one Rubio statement. By the way, I agree.
No, that's not true.
That's not
he
what
knows
I said at all.
there's other evidence, and we do.
Okay,
know.
Brian,
You're
hang
not listening.
on. No,
What are your
Brian,
additional
hang
pieces
on.
of evidence? What are your additional pieces of
It's
evidence?
just so tedious. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We got this. I mean, we're here for it. So until we get some breaking news, let's just keep
I'm
going with this.
1/5 Jew, and I can talk about the law all day long. I mean that as a joke, of course. I can talk about the law all day. Okay, so my family, I have Jewish family, so as a joke to my other Jewish people, my friends in here, they understand what I mean by that. We can argue about different things but what I'm trying to get to is the point that when I look at the evidence that's in front of me, the military buildup 2 minutes prior.
That's literally the Twitch only. Wait, let me see if it's gone once I close that podcast. Oh, shut the fuck up. Dang, why is it lagging so bad? How do I even fix that? It's always a new problem. How do I fix stutters on Twitch stream? Not YouTube, just Twitch. I'd have to lower my bit rate. I mean, I'll just end the stream soon, and then what's it called? Because tomorrow my new monitor comes, so the stream will look pretty better. Because I'm going to just fix the bit rate and lower it down. If you watch from a PC, I don't think it would stutter that bad. It's only because of your, or I'm not really too sure, honestly. Yeah, finally. I think my monitor, it should come tomorrow. I'm not sure though. But yes, sir, I'm getting a 260 hertz, no, 240 hertz monitor. Oh my god, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Let me know if it's still going on, because if it is still going on, I'm gonna just turn off the podcast because it's that. Edit that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my. Which monitor you ordered? I got one from TikTok shop. Just a random monitor that has like good reviews. Wait. Oh dang. Dang, what about my PC though? Yo, what PC are you talking about? Oh yeah, I forgot you're not even watching my PC because you don't have one. It's too bad, brother. Don't get scammed though. People out here, they be scamming off PCs nowadays. Yeah. Oh my god, what are y'all talking about there, bro? What a garbage play this guy made. What is he doing? Bro, I want to guess, and I would still to this day for that PC go faithful for. Bro, I know why you believed it, bro. Little kids be believing anything nowadays. Get out of here, bro. You ain't getting no PC. When, where your monitor will come? What do you mean where? My house, duh. Where else would it go? Problem's house? They're probably not in an English speaker. As you wish. Oh. I thought I was gonna hit a 185 for. When, where do you not know? Yo, what are you talking about? Chill. I mean, not everybody be speaking English, bro. And it ain't even that bad. I'm just messing up worse. Yo, this guy is a D1 hater, bro. Don't leave. Don't do it. This guy's name is Cut on Fried. Wait, is the stream still lagging? Because if so, I'll just like turn back on the podcast. You act like English is a superior language. They don't really have to learn it. If I didn't live in America, bro, I would not be giving a shit about learning this language. I'm not gonna lie. It's still lagging. Oh, how did I miss that? Oh, come on, brother. WFT? What's WFT mean? You're not taking it. Oh my god. Oh my god. my god, like you can't even clip on this. I'm just too good. I can easily clip type shit. Okay, I was just doing a whole bunch of bullshit. Dummy boy, I'm right here. I ain't gonna lie, kinda just pieced me up right there. No! How are you not dead though? Yo, calm down, calm down, calm down. You literally just said there's 7. No. Damn, you're going at it, bro. Hey, watch out 1v1 about it on Fortnite. Ah, bro, that ain't fair, bro. You wanna get out of my face with that, bro. Come on now. You gonna take that, Hannah? Wait, that's a girl. Yo, no shit. How am I missing these? Ah, damn it. How did that not kill him? You know you can cuss, you don't even have to tag it out. What's good, Kim? What's up, bro? Yo, these guys are tweaking in my Twitch chat, bro. What's up, bro? What's up? Send my stuff? Wait, what stuff? Oh, is your things getting hidden by Twitch? Damn it, why is he such an idiot? Like, why are you not running to the back so I could, like, full box and then, you know, I wanted him to do this, bro. So basically, I got him right here. Bam, bam. And then I wanted his ass to go, like, over here. And then I was gonna, like... Damn it! Okay. Oh my god, like, bro, you can't even move fast without, like, not having delay and shit, bro. Alright, problem. I mean, that's not my fault. I'm not the one that's blocking it. I think it means that you shouldn't be cussing type shit. Oh, I just learned a new startup. Let's go. Damn. Damn. What a play. Of course, yo. And what? A 29? Are you kidding me, bro? What? How's MF your viewer or dude hell? Wait, what do you mean? How's MF your viewer or dude hell? Wait, what do you mean? I'm so confused what that means. How's the motherfucker my viewer? I mean, he's my viewer type shit, you know? I wanna clip that low key. It reminded me of Razor X. Never mind. 1 hour, 2 minutes, March 2, number 1. Well, you know, he's my viewer, you know, there's nothing I can do about that, bro. He's that guy, bro. He's dope. You know, he has like Fortnite earnings and stuff. Find peace with my inner self. gone. We know you's gone here. What are you doing falling down? You don't fall down here. Why you going over there? We don't go over there here. Why you go over here? We don't go over here there. Easy. Alright, I'm actually about to cook now. Let's go, buddy. Stick to my plan. Gosh, dude. Oh, fudge out of here. This guy thinks he's a smart player, but he no smart. He no smart. He no have brain. He no do what he want. Alright, well, since everybody's out here, I might as well listen.
Or hate a policy, the facts underlying them should be the same, and then you can decide whether you like it or don't like it.
Well, we got
Yeah.
got
Oh,
a
sorry.
pretty well-known market expert here in the
And it just stops again, man. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Just absolutely love it.
Come back up. I'll DM them.
Sorry, who did I interrupt?
Yeah, that was just me. I just to AB's point, and AB, you gotta chill here a little bit. You gotta, take the Xanax or whatever you need here, because you're getting really worked up here.
Bro,
But to
it's been
AB's
3 years,
point,
3 years of this retarded shit I have to listen to. 3 years in a row. Like, crazy. Go ahead.
yeah, I get it, brother. Yeah, I guess to AB's point, and maybe to some of the other speakers that were speaking, I would love to know if they're seeing the same thing I'm thinking, because he said it feels like the market is saying that we've got it under control. And to an extent, I fully agree with that. But I think that it's also, again, now pricing in that this could be an extended engagement. And that's just not something that I'm hearing talked about enough, in my opinion. It doesn't seem like anybody is kind of fully understanding that. We keep thinking this is going to be a quick in and out situation, at least from what I'm hearing, and it doesn't seem to be that way. I'm not saying this is going to be a Iraq 2.0 situation, but it does seem like we're saying this could go on for quite a while, and I don't know if that means the full goal is regime change or whatever. I'm not going to comment on that because that's not my specialty. The markets, and more specifically private, are, but it does seem like, from what I'm seeing and the trades that I'm seeing happening, is we're looking at an extended engagement here. And if that's the case, does that put a little bit more? Does that become the attrition point to where Iran can kind of draw this out? Because if the oil and gas markets really do start getting disrupted, does that hurt the American economy? And what are the implications for the midterms that are obviously coming up? I'd love to hear more about that if anybody is especially there.
Huge point with the midterms. Before we move to that, because of your experience with the markets, what would you, let's project this out, say, hypothetically goes 6 weeks. Another scenario goes, maybe 2 months. What would your projection on the
6 weeks,
markets
2 months, brother, that's like
globally
the
be,
thing.
whether it's
8 weeks is 2 months.
whatever the asset type, but what would your projection be in either of those scenarios?
Yeah, so just quickly, I think that 6 weeks doesn't, not much is going to change from what we saw today, flat to, pretty much flat. I'm going to be honest, which surprised me a little bit. Now, if we start getting into that 6 month scenario and a little bit longer,
Ooh,
I
6
do think
months.
that kind of starts with a repricing of the markets. But there's other factors that really go into this. And one thing that just, I'm not to sound like a potential conspiracy theorist or anything here because I'm absolutely not. But one situation or thing that we have to watch out for here is how these AI companies play into this war more. And I say that because how these AI companies and their potential IPOs that are upcoming, and that's Anthropic and OpenAI, which were both projected to IPO this year. If one or the other starts to really falter because of these issues that they've had with the Department of War, um, that could really start tying into a repricing of the market and the market's reacting negatively. And that tied in with an extended 6 month or longer engagement could really start to hurt these markets. And so that is I think what this administration wants to avoid because of the midterms that are coming up. So that's a few things that I'm keeping my eyes on.
Great points. Great points. I think
Awesome
we're
sauce.
going to go to Thomas, then Mitch, then Red Riders. So Thomas, what do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for letting me jump in here. I, I think all too often we think about sort of like the immediate outcome of this, even if we think of it in a 6 month time frame. I think what we've got to be considering is that the entire Middle East has been in flames practically for 47 years because of the Iranian regime. They supported Lebanese Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Houthis. They propped up Assad. They enabled, created the Shia militias in Iraq, and now none of
For
those
a really good
people
reason.
have a big brother now to lean on and protect them. And I think that what we should be really thinking about is that if this is successful in essentially eliminating the power projection capability of the Iranian IRGC, and also the financial resources and the sort of like the ideological support that has gone into many of these terrorist organizations for the last 47 years. When that's gone, I think there's going to be massive opportunity around throughout the GCC countries, first of all, to deal with these asymmetric threat organizations that have been propped up by Iran out of fear for getting into a fight with Iran. And I think that that's a more long-term view of what kind of stability we could be looking at if this is successful. The other thing kind of to think about is a lot of people, and I worked the Iranian hard target problem set in the intelligence community for almost 10 years, really longer than that because I've been looking at it all the way back to the Beirut bombing. But what we should be thinking about is how this is going to change the threat arena in the Middle East. And my hope is that, I mean, I think it's a catastrophic mistake by the Iranians to attack all the GCC countries um, in this attack, because what that'll do is that'll mobilize these GCC countries to throw their weight in behind the Iranian people against the regime, which could also have a really dramatic effect in the long run in the Middle East. And so while we might have, a 6 month, issue with oil prices, our sons and our daughters are not going to have to go to the Middle East in the future and fight an Iranian regime. And I
Are we
think that that's just
serious?
something that is, I've been listening to a lot of the pundits. I just put a like a 15-minute thing out up on this just a few minutes ago because I wanted to kind of see the situation evolve a bit.
This is so insane
We
to me. This
need
is
to have a
stupid.
little bit more long range view of what this means for because these people are a threat to the world.
Said everybody when we were going to invade Iraq. Said everybody when we were going to invade Iraq.
No, this is different. This is different. Only from the standpoint that we're not invading, we're just decapitating and ultimately annihilating the power projection capability of the Iranian regime.
Right, but,
and I think
but that logic, I'm sorry, sir, but that logic is so faulty. It's hard to grasp it because
I know it's a big
because it's never
thing.
happened in the history of warfare that you can force regime change from the air.
Well, no, I realize that is sort of the doctrinal answer, but I think that what we've got to be thinking about is whether or not the Iranian regime will be able to enable their threat network and essentially
with all due
terrorize
respect, sir,
the world
you also
like they
just
have
said
for
that
the last
Iran's not going to be a
47
future threat. So what you're saying is we're going to totally neutralize Iran so our sons and daughters don't have to go do it again. And the only way to do that forcefully and to make sure it's done is to go in and invade.
No,
so
it's
you
for
can't
the
have it both
Iranian. No,
ways.
for the Iranian people to change the way they do business, and that's really what I think the agenda here is, to change the country of Iran from within. The Iranian people, 80% of the Iranian people do not want the regime. They want to be a moderate Western country, and they've been prevented from doing that. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I think that ultimately we've got to have a little bit longer range view of the outcome here. Like when you, for example, when you eliminate the Iranian Navy and you eliminate their coastal defense cruise missiles and you eliminate their air defense capabilities and you eliminate their missile industry, this is going to have a dramatic effect on the fight in Russia with Russia and Ukraine, because Iran's not going to be able to support Russia now, and it's going to affect China. So this is a global thing.
So
let's
let me
hold on,
ask you a
guys. I'm gonna pivot here a little bit.
Well, I just want to ask a question. I just want to ask a very simple question. If
that
is the case, if this is a global issue, then please explain to me why the Trump administration is no longer supplying Ukraine with arms except that which is purchased by NATO. Why have we turned the spigot off?
Well, I think that the Trump administration has been trying to get the NATO countries to weigh in on the Ukraine fight and to try and push them forward, because this is their backyard. So,
but they've been paying. They've been paying 3-1.
I know
they've paid 3-1 against this,
and I realize that. And then by eliminating the ability of the Iranian regime to support Russia, it'll make it easier. I believe that it'll make it easier for the Ukrainians to have the right impact on the Russian effort in Ukraine, and ultimately that'll force Putin to negotiate, as well as, I mean, you look. All I'm trying to say is that I think that the Iranian regime has been at the core. It's been at the core of the problem with destabilization throughout the region and really throughout Europe. And I think this is going to have a dramatic effect on their ability to do that in the future. And what that does is that makes it easier for, say, Saudi Arabia to do something. It makes it easier for Israel to not have to be bombing Iran all the time. It just stabilizes the region, and hopefully, like Trump said, the Iranian people will take their government back. And I believe the Artesh, I know the Artesh very well, and I know the Artesh leadership very well. They also are terrorized by the IRGC, and hopefully they will seize control of the country, and it'll become a more moderate country in the future. That's all we're hoping for.
And if they don't, the IRGC stays in charge.
Well, no, but it could still take them 50 years to recuperate, and that still has an effect.
Perfect end of the point. Josie, before I go to Mitch, Josie, I missed your hand. I didn't see that.
You want Josie to go first? I'm happy to defer.
Yeah, let's let Josie go first. Go ahead, Josie.
Yeah, my God, that was a lot that was said over here. I would just like to note real quick. By the way, nice to meet you. I think it's my first time on this panel.
Thanks for being here. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Sorry, not a lot of sleep. So we need to understand that Ukraine, also in parallel with China, was Joe Biden's and the Biden's backyard, right? That was their playground, sort of say, around with Burisma and everything. Like, let's just say that they were quite corrupted.
Of course, it just like stops at every second, man.
Countries under the Biden administration weren't honored. We kind of lost credibility.
Exactly.
When it comes to being a reliable ally to work with, and I think that Trump has slightly restored the trust that we've lost. However, when it comes to being with Israel, you guys also have to understand that the guy was going to be literally thrown in jail. He had to win this. He had to win the election, right? Like there was no other way around it. And a lot of people, including like APAC, Mary Madelson, actually funded his campaign, helped him create allies. But those people say, hey, I'm going to help you out, but here's what I want in exchange. And imagine if Trump would have not honored his commitment
Josie,
to
could you
that, how it would have been.
Who are you talking about just being thrown in jail? I didn't hear what you said. Who was being thrown in jail?
Who's been what?
You said someone was going to be thrown in jail. Who are you talking about?
No, that Trump, like he was gonna get impeached, pretty much.
I don't think it was gonna happen.
Like the Democrats were gonna freaking throw him in jail. Yeah, you follow? No, you don't think so?
Joe, if I may just weigh in just briefly, Josie, you're 100% correct on the Biden administration and really the Obama administration as well.
Yes.
Really damaged our reputation, in particular with like the Kurds and
yes,
and Iraqi people and things like that. That was very, very badly damaged by the decisions that were made in previous administrations. And I do think that this will go a long way to restoring that. It's still going to take a long time for those people to have the faith in the U.S. government that they should have because of those mistakes. But this does go a long way to fixing that. I think on the arrest thing, you're not wrong in the fact that Trump had to win because the Democrats, I mean, if Kamala Harris had been in there, we'd have had another 4 years of that nonsense. And so, thank God he did win. And I think that we're trying to restore our credibility in the world. And this is just a step. This isn't, and I think it's a big one. I think for our kids and our future, it's a big one, but it's still going to rest in the hands of the Iranian people and I think the GCC countries to help Iran be successful and not be a radical terrorist regime in the future.
True, but also just real quick, just second point real quick, is that there's also, we cut a deal with the Saudis when it comes to oil, which is why the last time we had the 12-day war, our oil was barely impacted, right? And the Saudis and our allies in the region also lobbied for the strikes on Iran to happen. So that was even
Josie,
more important in this case.
What deal are you referring to? There's a deal with the Saudis that you mentioned?
Yes, the Saudis.
The Saudis allegedly.
I don't know
the Saudis
anything about
allegedly.
that, so I'm just asking what you're talking
The
about.
Saudis allegedly lobbied the Prince Bandar.
No. AB, please don't do that.
I'm trying to clarify for you, Mitch. You're asking
no, he's right.
AB
is right. Let's go.
During the 12-day war, there was an agreement?
No. Way before that. Like Trump made an agreement with the Saudis regarding our oil, basically, to make a long story short.
Okay, it's very vague.
And keeping the U.S. dollar as the is that default currency? My God, I'm sorry. Like
as the global currency
of trade.
Josie, you're 100% correct. I think that this also goes a long way to bringing things back into alignment.
There was no agreement. There's a historical agreement low, and that is no longer existent. There was a verbal agreement, no written agreement about using the U.S. dollar. But what the Saudis have done, and they cannot uncouple from it, this is the issue, is they have pegged their dollar, their currency, to the U.S. dollar. That is why they need to trade in U.S. dollars. And to uncouple it has a lot of risk to their economy. People think the Saudis are rich.
Yeah, but because we're keeping them rich in exchange.
So
I was going to try and finish my point. I'm going to try and finish my point.
I'm going to go to you briefly, Mitch, here in a sec. All very valid points, but little, albeit connected, a little off topic for tonight. So, Mitch, I think you had a point
I'll just touch on that
prior to
point,
that
but I'll get to the
discussion.
main point. Yeah. I'll just get to the Saudis have a lot of economic problems because, you know, the best indicators look at their demographics. 60% of their population is below the age of 30, and the employment level is very low in the population itself. So while they have a lot of wealth in the ground, the amount of revenue that they generate from their oil is not sufficient currently to
And
take too many risks. So they're not leaving the dollar. There's no other currency that can replace it. And the core strength of the US dollar is that it's the reserve currency of the world. Not the trade. The trade is very important, but it's the reserve currency. And there is not one currency in the world that
But
could
Mitch,
replace
you're
the US
missing
dollar
the
at
entire
all.
point here.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your
The
point.
entire
I'm
point,
sorry.
the entire point is that like we have an important relation with the Saudis, and the Saudis wanted this strike to happen. Qatar wanted the strike to happen as well, right? A lot of not just Israel, but other countries in the region
100%.
who are important
Agreed.
to us lobbied for this. So it's not just Israel in this case.
100%.
Like there's a whole there's people
I
that
agree
depend
with
on
you.
that.
I strongly disagree with that because there
You
are
strongly
clear
disagree with what,
reports.
Craig? You strongly
I
disagree that
strongly
Mohammed
disagree.
bin Salman called Trump and told him to go forward with the strike? You disagree with
No,
that?
no, I strongly disagree with that because there are numerous articles and reports coming out that the Gulf states tried to lobby against this.
Yeah, they
That they were
probably
telling
did too.
Trump
They
not
always
to
play
do
both
this.
sides.
So, Craig, you have to understand respectfully. I'll just go through what I was going to say anyhow, and then I'll touch on what you just said about
Yeah, because
I'm
what the
sorry.
Saudis
I'm
said.
sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
We got plenty of hands up, so we're going to try to pass it around a little bit. Mitch, give us your thoughts, and we're going to go to Red Ryder.
I listened earlier to Craig talk about how this is wrong because it's not going to result in regime change, and I think the key factor is that regime change is a secondary order effect that may happen, may not happen. That is not the core strategy of the United States of America's military.
What?
It's clearly to destroy as much as possible
They
a nuclear
literally said
program,
that the whole reason they're
completely
doing it is
destroy
for that,
missile
bro.
production
What is
capabilities
this
and
guy
missile
talking
launching
about?
capabilities and
Fatty,
supply,
get off the mic.
and to destroy the
God
Navy
damn,
because
bro.
the ability to threaten the Straits of
That's
Hormuz.
fucking pissing
If
me off
that,
with this stupidness.
as part of that, is taking out the
Like,
command
that
and
means
control
they would've
structure
fucking failed
of
whatever
the
the fuck.
IRGC, is necessary as part of doing those steps.
Yo, bro, is there a
If
way
that
to mute
leads
fat
to
ass?
regime change,
You
great.
can't, I'm
If
done,
it
bro. This
doesn't,
guy's
that's
a fucking idiot.
I don't think that's good. I think regime change is very much in the benefit of the United States national interest,
Shut up, fatty.
given the connection with someone mentioned China and Russia. I think Thomas was saying that it will lead to Putin to be a negotiator. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think we're planning for perfection in that sense. I think it just weakens Russia's hand by losing an ally that's important. But there are many effects. It solidifies America's influence over oil markets, with it having having Venezuela under its umbrella, and having obviously this would lead to Iran to be under its umbrella, and that would limit the ability of even Saudi Arabia to intimidate the U.S. through its control of the spigot. Right, they'll have less control of that spigot. Right, obviously America is oil independent. They have enough oil domestically, but the core is that the market is a global market. This is about protecting you spend $1 trillion on your military because you're protecting the access to resources and trade routes around the world. Obviously, Iran has and continues to threaten the Bab el-Mandeb Straits and the Straits of Hormuz. The proxy system, I hate the word proxy. To me, these are just divisions of the IRGC. It's almost like if someone would tell me that Incirlik Air Base in Turkey is a proxy of the United States military. No, it's a division of that overall military structure. It's kind of funny. They always use this term that, the greater Israel nonsense. Meanwhile, Iran has created a greater Iran through its presence in Lebanon, Syria. Well, that's lost. Iraq, Yemen, and other places. And at the same time, they talk about a Samson, strategy that Israel has, when in reality, we're watching the Samson option right now. Just it's an Iranian Samson option of bombing everybody and anybody they can. I fully expect that they will be hitting continental Europe at some point. They've already hit the French and the Djibouti, the British and Cyprus. I mean, they're hitting oil production. And it's sort of a crazy Ivan strategy that if we're going down, everybody else is going down with us. And I do think that to a certain extent, they're hoping that this chaos might lead to Shia uprisings within those Gulf states.
And that's
And the
exactly
more
what's
chaos
happening.
that they can sow, like you have to remember, this is a regime that's driven by a religious ideology, right? This has nothing to do with Islam. This is a very specific, unique brand of religion mixed with politics. So if people think we're fighting Islam, they're foolish because our allies are Muslims. So this is nonsense. I'm
Your
not an
allies
American,
are
but
not.
America is not fighting Islam, and people who believe that are foolish because your allies are Muslim and important allies are Muslim. So
Yo,
at the end of the day,
this fatty pisses me
this regime
off.
has to go, or at least be completely neutered or crippled in such a way that they cannot threaten. Was that lead to the Shah? I'm not in that realm. Do I support what the Shah speaks for of peace with its neighbors and secular government that respects religion? Yeah, that's a very American
Yo, guys, this is
thing,
his
and
post, by the
I
way.
respect that.
The person that's
Whether
talking,
he
this is
takes the
his post.
monarchy,
Look at
look,
this.
he
You guys
even
see
doesn't
this?
talk about taking the monarchy. He talks about it being a
This seems so
traditional
very
figure
American.
and doing what the people want. So
Dude, this is
I'm not going to be
insane.
more Pahlavi than Pahlavi himself. Is there a large percentage of the population that is against this regime? Even those who are religious are. I think that's pretty clear. This isn't a secular versus religious argument. You
Yo,
just
look at
saw
this. This
the
is the person,
national
by the way.
soccer
It's
team
him right here. Look.
of
You guys see
Iran
that?
stay silent and not sing their own national
Very
anthem. Those are
American
people in
first, huh?
hijabs. Those are people who are of all
Way too
different
American
backgrounds,
first.
different
Oh my God.
ethnicities within Iran. So I'm pretty sure that the hatred of this regime is widespread. The
Hatred of
level
the
is
regime
unclear.
towards people
That
like
doesn't
you.
correlate with how many people are Shah supporters. I don't know where that is or where that goes, but I'm not
Probably
an
millions of
Iranian.
people
That will be a
protesting
discussion
Yeah.
for Ozzy and her people to discuss at a later date. My only point is on every level, this is to the benefit of America. And when people try and portray it as for Israel, I use a certain analogy. You and I, Bit Square, could be investing in a piece
He's
of real
saying
estate.
that
We
it's
could
for
both be
America.
joining a partnership. You have your investment reasons, and I have my investment reasons. Israel has its reasons for wanting to take down the ballistic missile program, the nuclear program. America has its reasons associated with the power of the US dollar, of oil markets, of its threat to allies, of wanting to move its focus to the Asia Pacific, as the Deputy Secretary of War stated, about moving that needs to be the focus. The more that you have this threat, which is Iran is the reason CENTCOM has its deployment that it has. You get rid of the Iranian regime or the threat of the Iranian regime, you suddenly don't need the level of deployment. You don't need the threat. And with this regime, you either fight it when it's weak or you fight it when it's strong, because it's hated. It has declared you as its enemy for its entire existence.
Why,
It
dude.
has
I
attacked your
seriously
interest
wonder why they
over
declared him
all
as
that
the enemy,
period,
man. I
both
seriously
kinetically
wonder
and
why.
through cyber attacks and psychological warfare.
Mitch,
Yes,
we're
Craig.
gonna pivot, man. We're gonna pivot.
Let's move on.
Red
Thank you very
Rider,
much for letting
Red
me speak,
Rider.
sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Thank you for the opinion, Red Rider, and wanted to welcome Nas and I think Jess both joined us. We're gonna get to you guys here soon. But Red Rider, you've been waiting, and AB, I see you over there, brother. I'm not forgetting about you. But
just the last sentence. The essential point of my analogy is, we could be doing the same thing, but we could be.
Shut up, bitch. Did it close?
Did it cut out?
Nah, fucking idiot got shut off.
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
No, he's still here.
Oh.
We can hear you.
All right, I'm just going to go. I want to kind of bring it back to a question and then maybe throw it over to Nas and Jess because they might have some good points on this, especially with their expertise. A question was brought up about something that was different, and that was that the markets rarely reacted like they would have in a conflict in the past. And I think this is a very critical point. History does not repeat itself; it rhymes. And if you fall into the fallacy of direct comparison, you miss the discrepancies that are critical. And I think we're in an age of information, right? And so I think there were so many partners that were cooperating within this. And if you look at why the U.S. markets kind of survived or grew in GDP, you can look at 7 mega giants, and a lot of it was AI driven. And we have a lot of AI data integration now with our warfare. That is also these companies are also tied into markets predictions, and now we have agents that are trading these markets live 24/7 on and off. And I really do not think that the US dollar is as strong as what it used to be. In its height, I think in the years past it was at a 62% world reserve. And at one moment a few years ago, that started to dip below 51%. And even in years past, in 2 to 3 years past, and Nas can maybe talk on this, is a lot of the world's energy was not being traded and denominated and exchanged in US dollars. right? Especially when you look at the trades between China, Iran, Russia, and some others. And so, my question, maybe to pitch it over to Anas or Jess or whoever wants to take this, is this was different, right? We did not see the markets react for what I would consider a very regional war in a very critical area where energy is a segue between the East and West, and that dictates kind of the influence within the hemispheres. My personal opinion is that people knew way ahead of time that data and information is a very critical factor in that. But what do you think the impact is on the fact that we've intertwined data and agents in trading and in energy trades on conflicts, and what kind of impact do you think that's going to really have on the next 3-4 weeks, possibly into like a 6 month or prolonged a conflict, whether it stays within this region or not?
Jess, you
Anas,
want
I
to
think
go
that's
first?
to you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Jess, you want to go first? Go ahead.
sure. I mean, like Anas and I have disagreed in the past, but I'll tell you that guy knows his stuff on energy. So I will let him make the majority of comments on the energy market. I will tell you, as an economist and as somebody that is fascinated by this whole conflict, that I'm actually kind of I'm not going to say I'm in between, but I have pros and cons on this thing, right? I don't ever see anything as 100% good or bad. I mean, they're just actions, right? They're policy actions, and they have consequences. And there's a lot of unintended consequences when you intervene like this. But that doesn't mean it's all bad, and that doesn't mean we all cheer or we don't all cheer that certain things happen, right? Like, I mean, he was obviously not a great guy, except to his supporters. As far as the market goes, I think that the conflict was priced in long ahead of time. I don't know that you could necessarily say that's because of AI trading. I think the fact that there was already the midnight hammer and the buildup before, and then in this case, one thing that Trump has done at least recently better. I mean, obviously he didn't do this with the tariffs, and that's why the market was shocked at that situation. But Trump did a pretty good job, I think, of telegraphing, hey, we're going to do this. And I'm sure that he had somebody in the White House that was probably like, you know what? If we start making this buildup kind of public and making all these statements, and this is something that may happen, then if we go and do this and we do the strikes, it's probably not going to have as much of an impact on the price of oil and on the broader market. And I think that that's true. You could also see that the Strait of Hormuz disruptions were happening, honestly, way from last year and so forth. So I'm going to sit on the sidelines for a second because I think Anas will have some very interesting comments here. And I'm happy to provide some other comments on the war, but I want to let him do that. I think that's just fair to let him answer that question.
I think so, Anas. Welcome, and I think everybody
Thank you
is
very much.
looking forward to some of your expertise and commentary. And then I have a couple questions in particular for you, but please, floor is
Sure.
yours.
Okay, thank you all. I put in the nest an old space, is still working, for those who are interested in the subject of the petrodollar and the Saudi Arabia and the dollar, oil, etc. All those rumors that you guys been hearing about, of the idea that there was an agreement is fake. There is no agreement, and there is an explanation why people perceived it that way, and what was said in 1976 between at that time it was Prince Fahd who became King Fahd later on. For those who have time, you can listen to that space. There is a wealth of information on this issue. But I can tell you one thing: if your main source of information is the mainstream media, you are living life wrong, literally, because there is a lot of misinformation. And I agree with our friend who spoke earlier. I'm sorry, I missed your name. That there is not a single evidence that MBS lobbied Trump for this attack. Not a single evidence.
100%. 100%.
It is some media report coming up, and that's it. So let me tell you, in our daily energy report, because we focus on the news and we analyze the news, on daily basis, we have 2 to 5 items every day. We just tell clients, this is fake news, this is inaccurate, I will see it when it happens, I'll believe it when it happens, on daily basis. So you can imagine how much wrong news are there or bias. Yesterday, for those who attended of course, this space been open all day long for the last 3 days. But for those who were there yesterday, I did debunk the story about the Hormuz Strait being closed by the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. I did debunk the story about the Iranians basically attacking the ships. These are they don't make any sense at all. The evidence basically is exactly the opposite.
What he just said is wrong. There's literally video proof of it.
So there is a lot of misinformation. So let's be careful with the mainstream media and how they are reporting things. So to talk about prices and why energy prices did not go up substantially. If the reason why some of you are surprised that prices did not go up substantially, because your expectations were that the prices will go up to 100. So probably you were wrong in the expectations in the first place, and that's why you are wondering. So this is really an issue here. And we heard earlier from our friend, he said that this was built in the prices. Yes, it was built in because if we eliminate all this impact for Brent prices, it's supposed to be around 65 to 67. Now prices are around 77. So we have about $10, $12 built in right now. But some of it was built in earlier. But what people do not realize is the following. And what was said earlier is absolutely correct when the Trump administration basically broadcasted the idea of an attack widely, and they keep broadcasting it. First, a week before the attack, Iran itself pushed all its VLCC tankers, which are the largest tankers, out of the Gulf. So we're talking about massive amount of oil being pushed out of the Gulf completely. So that's Iran. To the extent that Iran's oil exports were last month were the highest since 2017, despite the fact that Trump basically put more sanctions on Iran and he wanted zero exports and everything else. Yet, last month, Iran exported the highest level of crude since 2017. So that's one reason why prices basically did not go up substantially, because there is a lot of Iranian oil out there. But Saudi Arabia was watching, Iraq was watching, the UAE was watching. They pushed more oil too. So those four countries alone added 1.1 million barrels a day, month over month. And that oil is still out there. But even before that, between the Venezuelan oil, the Iranian oil, and the Russian oil, we do have in floating storage right now, we do have between 60 to 120 million barrels of oil on ships. This is floating storage, which means that these are ships idle at sea, full of oil. Mostly they are near China, Malaysia, and Singapore. And then you go back to China. China knew everything in advance. They were way ahead of Trump. Either there is some sort of coordination or they are spying. So every time Trump does something, China was way ahead. So whether you look at the tariffs, you look at the first 25% tariff that's been imposed on those who import Venezuelan oil, or the Maduro arrest, and or before that the blockade, then the Maduro arrest. You look at all of this. Now Iran, China was way ahead. So they were buying oil and storing it in a massive amount, to the extent that just about 3 weeks ago, their oil inventories were the highest on record, and significantly higher than the United States, although the United States have higher consumption. So we do have a lot of oil there anyway. But the disruption that we've seen in the Gulf, this was unprecedented. Even during the 8-year war between Iran and Iraq, this was unprecedented. And people basically, the two stories I mentioned yesterday on the show, I'll repeat them quickly here. The first story is oil tankers and LNG carriers got those electronic messages that the Hormuz Strait is blocked and therefore don't come. The question is, who sent those messages? Where did they come from? There was nothing official from Iran, nothing official at all. Where did they come from? Yet, we have ships basically passed
Anas, are you
especially
asking about the Hormuz? Where did that news come from? Straight of Hormuz?
yesterday.
That came from
Yes.
Iranian state media.
Well, not really. I will tell you what the story is. It came in. The captains basically started reporting that they've been getting those messages, and the news starts spreading. But if you investigate this, you will find out that it came from one of two sources. The Iranian Electronic Army, basically some young people who work and they do all these propaganda and all these things. It seems those young people basically decided to send those messages. They were not coordinated with anyone else because there was no actual acts on the ground at all, none. Or someone else basically hacked the systems and they've been sending those messages. So we've seen tankers going through, no one stopped them. We've seen container ships and bulk ships going through. They did not even get the messages. But what halted the shipments is the decision by European insurance companies to cancel the insurance. We are talking about something unprecedented, something we never seen before. You have a VLCC that is full of 2 million barrels of oil. You want to leave, and all of a sudden they tell you, well, we canceled your insurance. This never happened. And now we have a large number of ships basically got stranded. They cannot go because they have no insurance, or the insurance companies told them, we are going to charge you 50% of the value of the tanker, which is unbelievable.
So, Anas, that brings kind of a great segue to throw it over to Craig, and certainly we'll come back to you. But Craig, same, what's the impact on the military maneuvers related to this?
I mean, I think that the Navy aspect of this is well in hand. I hear talk, of people saying that the Iranian Navy is surrendering. I don't understand where that comes from. That's just kind of lolly-da stuff. I don't know how you surrender a ship while it's in port. So that seems like it's just completely ridiculous. But as far as the transportation of assets, there's going to be no interruption here. And the only thing that Iran can do, and I think the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff made this clear, no evidence of them mining the strait. There's been no ships that have been put to sea to attempt to close the strait. If there was going to be an attempt to close the strait by Iran, it would happen one of two ways. First of all, they're not going to put ships on the water, because that's not going to happen. It's to essentially do what the Houthis did, and that's to essentially fire at everything that comes through. And then let the market, like Anas is saying, let the market rip away the insurance policies, and it effectively will stop. Now, it didn't stop with the Houthis. Everything was still transiting, but that was because we had American assets that were defending against incoming strikes, right? So we had destroyers, frigates, cruisers. We had them on station intercepting these to allow free trade to go on the high seas, right? In this case, the Iranians would have to do the same things the Houthis would do, but then that would force the Americans to do one of two things, right? Number one, to target the launchers, but then number two, to essentially provide an umbrella of coverage throughout the entire Persian Gulf, right, of interceptors, right? So that dramatically increases the portfolio of coverage you have to allow ships to continue to go back and forth. Now, some insurance carriers will write that policy, but with very large deposits on the premium, as an offset, right? But most probably will not. If Iran starts cooking off ballistic missiles and drones into ships, and we don't know if that's going to happen. The Iranian state media did say earlier today, I think it was, that the Hormuz Strait, the strait is closed and we're not going to happen, but we haven't seen any movement. We haven't seen any indication of that. In terms of military assets, how would it affect military assets? I probably is. Number one, point to that we only have one carrier on the eastern side, right? So we're looking at the map here. We only have one carrier on the eastern side of Suez. The other one is on the western side. Well, I mean, like technically, like the north side of Suez. So our carriers are split from both sides, right? Both east of Suez and west or north, however you want to phrase it. So that's not going to essentially stop U.S. assets because we can refill our assets in the Med. But it is, again, I say this a lot, aside from the whole legal stuff, you really got to start focusing on the tempo of attacks. If tomorrow or today, whatever day it is, over in Iran, I think it's close to sunrise over in Iran right now, from what I understand, or close to it, then today is the major day for strikes, right? Tomorrow is a major uptick of strikes in the United States. When you're talking about logistical lines, you're talking about ordnance for planes, you're talking about gas for planes, you're talking about food stores for people on ships, you're talking about all these things. That is not as easy as it sounds, right? While you're conducting combat operations and refilling your aircraft carriers with ordnance while taking care of your interceptors on the ground and also filling your aircraft that are on the ground, that are launching ground-based attacks, whether it's a B-2 from Kansas or not, that's not my point. Interdicting shipping or causing shipping issues is commercially, yes. But again, I illustrate that logistics dictate operations. And I'm not buying into some media thing. It's important to highlight, again, that numerous reports have come out that the ability to refill these interceptors is not what you think. It's not as easy as it seems. That's why we were talking about the A-10s earlier, right? A-10s and F-15s are aloft in some cases to shoot down drones, right? While these missile batteries are being more or less reloaded for all intents and purposes, right? It's a gun, and a gun needs to be, reloaded. And so this air cover that you're doing, it is a massive logistical effort that you have to put into this. But I'm not saying this because I'm giving an exercise in arithmetic. I'm doing this because if your operations are this fast and this much and ongoing and all this stuff, any delays or any issues with logistics causes issues at operations, because an aircraft carrier can only hold so much ordnance, right? Like, it can only hold so many bombs, and it can only hold so much gas. And getting those tankers back and forth, yes, the U.S. has totally unlimited access to the sea. But if your tempo is increasing and you're going faster and faster, you're burning through that faster and faster, which limits your ability to keep that tempo going, given, to be quite frank with you, given our requirements throughout the entire region. This isn't just hitting a nuke site and we're done. It's maintaining large combat operations for weeks. And it's not as easy as it seems. I just want to emphasize that for people. Everybody likes to see the F-15s and the F-18s and the bombs and everything like that. But the logistics that go into this, let me just give you one example. I'll be very quick. One ship, okay, so one ship that would handle the strategic push and pull of logistics, right? That's pushing logistics forward and then pulling them to where you need them. That is an aircraft carrier. We only have 10 of those, right? We only have 10. And those ships have to keep on making back and forth, right? One of those ships, from my understanding, I want to be crystal clear about this. I don't have it in front of me, but one of those ships was hit port side, right? One of those ships was hit. So it is a monstrous task to keep this going at pace because Iran is shooting off ballistic missiles and we're not just invading Iraq and we just need enough bombs. We have a whole host of responsibilities all over the region to maintain our force posture. And I want people to remember that when we start looking at the calendar and we start looking at the clock.
Yep, I think that's a perfect place to land. AB, you've been waiting patiently. What do you got for us?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to, I forgot what I originally wanted to say, and there were so many interesting points, and I love Anas's analysis is great, fantastic as a guy who likes to, like I said, who has some professional experience trading commodities, but less than Anas. I think he's probably at least 3 months older than me. I say jokingly, but no, much respect and some excellent points. I just wanted to actually read because Ozzy referenced a portion of it earlier. A piece from the Prime Minister of Israel's interview with I believe with Sean Hannity on Fox News. So just it's a little news blurb. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denies that the U.S. and Israel are engaging in a quote unquote endless war against Iran, insisting that the operations will end quickly. Quote from the Prime Minister: I hear people are telling you that you're going to have an endless war here. You're not going to have an endless war because this terror regime in Iran is at its weakest point since its founding, Netanyahu tells Fox News in an interview. Quote, this is going to be a quick and decisive action. I know people can scoff. They can, this is me saying, they can scoff or laugh at it, but this is what he's saying. This is going to be a quick and decisive action, he asserts. Netanyahu says that the U.S. and Israeli strikes will create the conditions for regime change in Iran. U.S. officials had given mixed messages regarding whether regime change is the goal, though Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said earlier that it isn't, and that neutralizing the Iranian missile, navy, and nuclear threats is. Netanyahu says 95% of the problems in the Middle East are generated by Iran, and that the fall of the regime would lead to a flood of peace deals between Israel and its Arab and Muslim neighbors. He maintains that the joint U.S.-Israeli operation will, quote, usher in an era of peace that we haven't even dreamed of, end quote. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio declared that the U.S. launched Operation Epic Fury because Israel was going to carry out, and this is what we've been arguing about earlier, was going to carry out a preemptive strike against Iran, and U.S. intelligence indicated that Tehran would respond by targeting American assets in the region. The remark further intensified criticism of the administration that Israel has dragged the U.S. into a war with Iran. Asked to respond to that specific claim, Netanyahu laughed it off. Quote, and this, I couldn't disagree with the word I'm about to read to you. Quote, that's ridiculous. Donald Trump is the strongest leader in the world. He does what he thinks is right for America. He does also what he thinks is right for future generations. Netanyahu says, arguing that the U.S. president understands on his own the threats posed by Iran. Netanyahu spends much of his time in the interview praising Trump, who urged his followers to tune in, who urged his followers to tune into Fox News ahead of the time and was ostensibly watching the interview himself. Again, I thought it was, I love Marco Rubio. He's my favorite member of this administration, and I'd be very supportive if he ran in 2028. Him saying that statement that he did, and just in my opinion, was number one, stupid. He's the chief communicator as Secretary of State for the United States government. And I think of all the things that he's said in recent weeks leading up to this war and since the war started, I think it was objectively false. In my opinion, it is objectively false that the United States started this because of what Rubio said in that last statement. I think that's bullshit. I think if I had to guess, as somebody who's worked inside government and worked for members of parliament and crafted communications lines and leaked things to the press, etc., I think one of maybe the State Department or White House or whatever legal advisor said, quick, people are criticizing us about the lack of specifically international justification, legal justification for this war. You have to come up with something. And Rubio cobbled together that untrue, in my opinion, statement that this was going to happen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Had the U.S. wanted to stop Israel from launching that attack, guess what they would have done? They would have stopped Israel from launching that attack. And again, I point you to last year's war between the same protagonists and antagonists with the same world leaders in office, identical. And President Trump literally turned around planes in midair that were on their way to bomb Iran and proceeded to curse out the Iranian regime and the Israelis, his ally, while doing so. So I'll leave it there.
All right. Good points. Good points. Josie, swinging it back to you.
Yeah, I would just like to ask the panel here. Everything that we're seeing going on, like in Israel, like it's pretty intense over there, from what I'm hearing, and the images are not comforting at all. And like our soldiers dying overseas. I mean, I think we probably all feel the same about that. No good, right? And also regarding like what is up with hitting elementary school? Like, please somebody tell me this is like a psyop, because like
It's a
what the heck?
psyop. It's a psyop. Yeah, it's a psyop.
No, like without lying. Tell me it's like you know.
It's a psyop. Without lying, it's a psyop. It's based on an Iranian state media report that a girls' school was hit. That supposed girls' school is surrounded by IRGC buildings. The video that's been released to show the aftermath of that was, just like so many times during the war in Gaza, was an image from 2021, I think, in either Syria or Greece or some other, not Greece, or Turkey, some other country. So it's a psyop. That's the answer, the truthful answer.
Okay, and tell me that like Israel is not getting as hard as it's portrayed because like you know.
Are we fucking dead ass? These are the people that fucking influence the US? You're kidding me, right? There's genuinely no way. They never called any of the attacks on them a psyop. This is just insane. Like, fucking hell.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Forgive me.
Sorry, Craig. I don't have much time. Guys, sorry. For a bit, Jossie, I'm taking just a little bit over because of
James.
some breaking news.
Yeah, James,
Yes.
go ahead.
Hey. So first, good morning, everybody. It was not a very heavy night as expected. As I have expected, there was a couple of hits around Dahye and in the area, but most of the hits were around the south. So that's point number one. Point number two, there's still a lot of stressful situations in the region and a lot of discussion talking about what is gonna happen next. So if we go back to the situation we had yesterday, Iran was attacking mainly the GCC and sending sporadically attacks towards Israel with
And it closed.
the same time the US and Israel were attacking Iran with some type of weaponry that is more oriented towards Tehran, the ballistic missile.
Why is it like just closing, dude? Stop.
This is not going to be the 3-4 days that was announced at the beginning, because if they want to continue attacking those, this will take a lot more time. It might take around 3-4 weeks, as President Trump said. It depends on the objective. Right now, I think the objective have shifted a bit because they feel that there is a possibility of a potential regime change on the ground. And this is why they are moving differently. The GCC, Riyadh, other countries got hit again, which is weird because hitting Riyadh right now doesn't add anything at all. We get a lot of information about Riyadh being on the fence about joining. I think the UAE is the one being hit the most, and they might also start going into if Riyadh goes in. Qatar.
They don't actually ever give you any real facts. They just try to give you their media trained facts. I don't know how to say it, but it's pretty much like plus 7,000, type of facts. They don't fucking useless. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Don't do shit,
Oh, Daniel Hikikachu. Yeah, this is more propaganda.
Bullshit.
How Iran was before Sharia law plus communism took over. This is how stupid the lies are. Bro, Sharia law plus communism. What does that even mean? How is communism compatible with Sharia law? You see, this is how stupid the Goyim are. This was before Sharia law plus communism. What are you talking about? 71,000 likes. PVD numbers guy. We'll get to this afterwards. His nose is almost like that new Shah that they want to put in charge. Look at the impact Love Speech is having.
But yeah, bro, I guess. So what? Oh, hold on.
Giga!
Is Iran free or no? Because I saw. I'm gonna be honest. I was watching Sneeko last night.
What is he wearing?
Kason Dum Dum. And Kason and Sneeko were going.
Kason is a dum dum. I mean, it's not a bad guy.
And then Sneeko's saying nothing changed. So what the fuck is going on, bro? Or is this like the? Is this the new like?
I don't know why he's talking like that. I don't think that guy has any fucking ounce of knowledge.
Is that what this is? I don't know what's up with that guy. Is that what this is? When we say free Palestine, from who? From who? Yo, Marlon, why don't you say from who? But yeah.
Look at that Love Speech impact. W Cheeser. W Cheeser. Undeniable. Love Speech is inevitable.
He's not wrong, bro. You got these streamers saying.
The Israelis crying.
Oh, God. God. The mission matters more than anything. The mission matters more than anything.
Oh, man. Okay, I'll finish the monologue after. There's a lot more. Stay tuned. There's a lot more that I have to cover, a lot more updates, a lot more news. But I'm very late to calling Daniel. Let me go call him now. It looks like a ritual. Yeah, because it is. Because it is. Daniel, let's give him a call.
God, just come here, dude. Fight.
Stay tuned. This is gonna be good. It's gonna be. He's a very smart guy. You guys know him. Pick up, pick up, pick up. He might be praying right now. Hopefully he finished Tarwi. Okay, he's not picking up. I'll give him another call. Oh, come on. Yeah, there's a lot more that I needed to cover, bro. That's why I haven't been doing, it's like 24-hour working. I've been, you know, getting all my research in and then going live for 10 hours. I literally have no time to do anything else. But it's been good, right?
I mean, I guess
hopefully.
You could say the same thing about, you know,
bro, why you late, man? He probably thinks you canceled. No, I just texted him. I was just texting him. I was literally just texting him.
Muslim.
I chose you, Pikachu. What's wrong with you, bro?
Faith, bro.
Call.
He's always
no, I'm not late, actually.
with the OF girl and shit, like, brother.
Want us to buy the X? Pin it in, mods, pin that in X on Twitter, in Love Speech comments.
That's your way of showing people that we have freedom as well, bro. It ain't doing it. Not gonna lie.
Okay, I'll finish that. I'll keep going with the monologue until he responds. People got mad about that. People like texting Warner and stuff and Daniel if I was becoming Shia. I'm not Shia, but it's just we gotta show support to our brothers, bro. Bro, I know people were spamming Patrick's when I started the stream off that, but does that get anyone fired up or no? Does that get anybody fired up? Not even that, like even if no matter what you are. Hey, I'm calling you on Discord. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Say! Woo! Seeing unity like that, man. It's a cool video, bro. Undeniably cool. Undeniably cool. You know? Same thing like, Nigga Heil Hitler's a great song, doesn't make me a Nazi. See it as something similar. You can appreciate culture. You can appreciate culture. Why is that so controversial? Does that type of one if you agree. Type of one if you agree. Same thing, you see that video of resistance fighters going, Haibar, Haibar! Haibar, Haibar, yeah, yeah! I don't even want to say it or get clipped up, but it's just like, you don't have to agree, but that's like, there's something. And I understand, yeah, optics and everything, but it's just,
why are we only 100?
He's logging it right now to Discord. It's going to be a great call. Put some questions in the chat if you have for him, too. He's Iranian, right? Okay, a lot of twos. Okay, all right. Sunni's getting mad. Understand, though. Understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You get me. Oh, bro, there's so many more things that we have to get. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Daniel, I see you. Hakikachu, I see you. I can't hear you. I can't see you. I can see you. I can't hear you. Hakikachu. Can't hear you. Your mic's not selected in Discord settings because it would show the green. You just have to change it to your mic in Discord settings.
How about now? Hello?
I'm preparing the rest of the monologue chat real quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, bro. Why is he
We
not
got it
talking?
all. This here. Got this, got this. Still can't hear you. Oh, there you go. I think it.
Still can't hear me?
Okay, yeah, now it's on. Now it's on. Now it's on me. Hold on one second. They can hear you. I can hear. Hold on, give me 1 second.
This shotgun goes off first.
1 sec.
What am I supposed to do?
Can you try speaking again?
Yeah, hello? Hello, hello. Hello?
1 sec. Hold on. One more time?
There's input coming
Yes.
from my
All right,
end.
we're good.
but
We're all good now.
I don't know why you can't hear me.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good. We're all good.
Alright, great.
How are you? Salam alaikum.
Waalaikum salam. How are you, bro?
I'm good. It's been in quite the Ramadan so far, right?
Yeah.
So
A lot happening.
do you have do you come from Iranian descent?
Yep.
All right. So as all Iranian Westerners seem pretty much, you must be in support of war.
Yeah, not exactly.
Oh, you're not?
No, but if you look at probably my extended family, like a lot of them are these diasporoids or whatever, very anti-Iranian government and
Muslims
anti-Islam
and
too,
civilian areas.
among some of them.
Shut the fuck up.
So unfortunately, that's very common for Iranians in the West.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of them, they're celebrating the propaganda. The AI videos is like they're Iranians wearing bikinis and doing OnlyFans. It's like, finally, they're free. Look at all these beautiful, hot women who could do OnlyFans now. So it seems, bigger than just, okay, freeing them from this Ayatollah. It's like definitely Western values. And, well, I don't even know if you want to classify it as that. It's hard to clarify what Western values are, but it's like, they are definitely pushing the fact that, okay, now they can strip naked and parade around gay pride parades rather than be oppressed by an Islamic regime.
Yeah, they have like such a retarded understanding of what freedom means or like quality of life means. Like it just ends at the ability of women to show themselves naked, or show their hair and like be sluts basically. Like that's the extent of their concept of freedom. And it's interesting though, some of them got red pilled. Like I know actual Iranians who they were, fully on that kind of liberal, libtard mindset. And then they kind of got red pilled and they were incels. They couldn't get married. And then they did a 180 and they're like, actually, no, we need to keep women in cages. And the Ayatollah is right. And so they kind of went the opposite direction.
Well, okay, cages is a little, cages is definitely extreme, right? But that's, there was a funny.
I'm not saying that that's, you know, what I endorse. But I mean, that's the kind of mindset that they switched to because they're like, yeah, all this time the Ayatollahs were right about Western decadence and like, yeah, this filth and degeneracy of the West, and now we see it for what it is. Because some of them are like in this situation where they think they know because of the internet and even satellite dishes that will get Western TV, like MTV. MTV was really popular in Iran amongst like entire generations, and they have this mindset that's just so much fun. You know, it's so much fun to be in the West, and it's just about partying, it's about drinking, it's about you know, dancing all night at the club. Like that's their mindset of the West, and they don't recognize, some of them, until they get older, or some of them actually come to the West, that well, actually, like, it's a pretty depressing lifestyle. Like, it's pretty depressing when you're actually in it, even if you do like the stuff like drinking and whoring around or fornicating or whatever. Even if that's something that you like, eventually it gets old. Like, eventually it gets old and there's no purpose to it, and it's just like a monotonous, pointless life. And that's why you have such high levels of depression and antidepressant use and all of these problems, and you can't like actually get married to someone that doesn't have a body count in the triple digits, and someone who actually loves you for who you are. Like all of these problems, they can't really see that when they're in Iran.
Yeah,
necessarily. So.
You know, I'm good friends with Nick, and I'm in a group chat with some of his some Groypers, like a lot of the Clippers, and they go at me all the time, and they make fun of the fact that I'm not Christian. And I like arguing with them because there's a major similarity. And there's one that I got them on. They're like, oh, Muslims need to stop invading our countries and stuff because white replacement. And I'm like, okay, well, why are so many Westerners having more dogs than children? And they all go like, yeah, you kind of got a point. Like, that was like the first time that I saw them all go, yeah, you kind of cooked us there. Like there's in the UK, for example, I think Western white Christian families they're having kids, 0.89 kids per family, per household. Muslim families are having almost 3 per household. And there's more dogs. There's more dog households than children households right now in the UK. So it's like, okay, yes, there's a lot of immigration because countries get destabilized by Epstein Empire warfare. They come in. All right, but at the same time, if you don't want to be replaced, then, okay, something needs to be addressed with feminism, with partying, and prioritizing dogs and the feminization of men. I saw that video of an Iranian. I'm sure you saw it. She's crying. She goes, oh, she's like yelling, and I'm not sure what the language is. Is it Farsi?
Farsi.
Yeah, she's yelling, and then her husband is there with this earring, and he's like hugging her, and it's like sobbing too. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's like a depiction of what's wrong in the West, and it's not just a complete description of Western values, but this is the clear parasite that is destroying it from the inside. And so like they like to blame that it's all this external factors and it's radical Islam taking over the West, like what Alex Jones says. Okay, but what's going on internally? What's being promoted? What are the values? Because there must be some value problems too.
I mean, this is the problem with like the Groypers and Fuentes and some of these Christian nationalists, is that they think that you can change society and really reform things in the right direction, like in a traditional direction, by just like a few slogans and like wearing a cross and going to church once a week. Like they think that if you do that and you really have Jesus in your heart, then that's going to magically transform society and suddenly make it traditional and based. But that's not how it works. Like there's a reason that Muslims have been resistant to secularism. Like Muslim lands have been exposed to secularism and liberalization, the feminist agenda and the liberal agenda for over 2 centuries now. And yeah, it's had an effect, unfortunately, but we've been far more resistant to those influences than Christianity has, or even Judaism has, or Hinduism has. Like all of those religions have sold out and basically reformed their religions, but Islam has a different distinguishing factor that gives us the upper hand, and that's like we have a system of law. Like we have Sharia law, and we really believe in it. Like we really believe in it. We're not like Jews that are trying to find in the religion of Judaism. Obviously, I'm not trying to characterize all Jews, but within Judaism, you see Jews try to find loopholes and they try to get around the laws of God. Like, how can you actually turn on the lights on the Sabbath, even though it's technically work and you shouldn't? Like, how can you get around the rules? Like, that's how they treat their law. Christians don't even have a law. Christians don't have like a system of, okay, what are proper gender roles? Like, what does it mean to be a husband, to be a obedient wife? Like, what does that actually look like? Islam goes into that in depth. Or like the banking system, like, well, what is wrong with usury? Like, why should you avoid it? Why should it be banned? Like, what is the correct type of financial practice? Like, there's very detailed laws in Islam that we uphold to this day. Like, Muslims uphold it, we practice it, we take it seriously. But first of all, Christianity doesn't have that, and if they want, even if they wanted it, they don't have that in their religion, unless they go back to like medieval canon law, which none of them seem to want to do. But even if they did have it, like the Jews, it's not clear that these Christian nationalists want to change their lifestyle.
Yeah. And
like,
if you look back,
it's not clear.
Yeah. Well, if you look back to when there was Christian law, they reference the monarchies in Europe, and look at the law that was in place at the time. The women had to be covered. They had to be, they were supposed to be escorted around in public. Not escorted in terms of OnlyFans, but they had to be protected. They had their heads covered. There was restrictions on things like alcohol and gambling, and they prevented the certain type of banking that's prevalent today. And a lot of it is very parallel to Sharia law. So they say, okay, it's a Christian country, and then the representation of Christian law, the only time that it last happened, it was very similar to Sharia law. And I'm not advocating for Sharia law in America, but so what specifically, I want to ask you people what specifically is Western values, which is a separate conversation, and you covered that extensively.
Well, it's funny that you said like you don't advocate Sharia law, because there was like these white nationalists that preceded like this current wave of Zoomers who adopted Christian nationalists. But if you go back like 10 years or even 8 years, there was a meme amongst the white nationalists would say Islam is right about women. Like you've seen this meme, right?
Yeah.
They would go actually and post on campuses like Islam is right about women, just to like trigger liberals, because liberals would be like, oh, that's Islamophobic. But how? Like, we're saying Islam is right. We're saying Islam. How's it Islamophobic? So they would try to get this contradiction from the liberals, but they would also want white Sharia. Let's say like, we want white Sharia. We love the Sharia, but we just want a white version of it. And so the white nationalists, these are nationalists. Some of them literally are like national socialists, and they want Sharia because they see the benefit of having a law that you follow. And do we want Sharia as Muslims? Do we want Sharia in America? I would say we want like the values of Sharia, yes, because that's God's law. Like, that's the way that humans were meant to live. Like, as a creation of God, like, we want to live according to God's law. We want that like in a positive way. Like, we want Americans to accept, willingly accept Sharia law by recognizing that it's a superior way of life.
Oh,
like,
that's going to be a clip that they're going to use. That's going to go viral on Twitter. They say Sneeko and they want. Well, I think the ideas of freedom of speech in the Constitution, there are major contradictions. So it would be hard to even classify it as still America. Well, with that.
Well, I mean, that's what Americans want. Americans want that for the whole world, don't they? Like, someone like Nick Fuentes and these nationalists, they think that, well, their Constitution and their understanding of freedom of speech and these kinds of rights that are embedded in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, that's what they want to impose on the rest of the globe, right? They want to force everyone to accept that as a superior way of life and be subservient or subordinate to the Western order, right? Like, that's the whole point of the international order and international human rights law that every country is subjected to, is this idea that we as the Western mind have determined the perfect way of life and what is the best for humanity, and that means accepting these laws, and they impose it. And if you go against it, if you go against their Western liberal order, they call you terrorists, they sanction you, they might invade you to get you to abide by the law of the world, international human rights law.
They got it wrong time and time again over the past 50 years. So much of the geopolitical intervention from America has been a disaster. And when they try to instill democracy, it's just ruined the country that they invaded. I do want to get into more of that later, but I really want to ask you about Iran, especially because it's important to learn the history about Iran. I was learning yesterday, or I was watching a lecture trying to figure out about the Shah and the Islamic Revolution. You've seen the propaganda. They always push videos like, oh, Iran before the Islamic Revolution, and they show these really nice videos where the women are walking around free and they're, in bikinis in public. Oh, look how it was so beautiful back then. It was perfect. And they're like, this was Iran before Sharia plus communism. And you're like, what is that even? Sharia plus communism? That doesn't make any sense at all. And people eat it up like slop. And then you figure out that the UK and the US, they were controlling the oil in Iran once the Brits discovered oil there. They had the British Petroleum organization or company that derived afterwards, and they would only give Iran 16% of the profit that came from the oil. And so Iran's like, okay, we're getting scammed. You're stealing all of our oil. Can we get 50%? The UK went to the US and they said, we don't like that at all. We don't like that deal. And it kind of makes sense today why Iran is refusing to negotiate, because they tried to negotiate once with the Epstein regime and look what happened. Afterwards, they staged a coup d'etat and they instilled the Shah. And the Shah created a police state, he liberalized the country, and then eventually he was overthrown in 1979, and then you have the Ayatollah. Is that a correct way to describe recent Iranian history?
Yeah, it's for the most part, but you're missing, there was the first Shah. So the first Shah that was installed was Reza Pahlavi. Or he wasn't installed, like he came into power. And Reza Pahlavi is the father of who you're talking about, which is Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. So there was like Reza Pahlavi, then his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was deposed in 1979 by the revolution. And now you have Reza Pahlavi. So they all have the same name, basically. They all have the name Reza Pahlavi, but there's three separate guys.
Okay.
And it's like father, grandfather, father, and then son, which is the current, prince, quote unquote. So yeah, your history is pretty much correct, but like the westernization that came with Reza Pahlavi. He was like a figure like Ataturk in many ways. Like he determined that Iran needs to modernize. So he brought a lot of industry, established a lot of institutions, like the roads were paved. This is like in the generation of my grandfather. And then Mohammad Reza Pahlavi is the generation of my father. And at that point, like there was the coup d'etat. Mossadegh was the kind of the socialist that was deposed. He wanted to nationalize like the oil production and kind of put limitations on the British. And yeah, he was overthrown basically, and Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was installed, and he did a lot of liberalization in the country.
And that's the Shah.
And he was also like with an iron grip. He is also Iran was one of the first countries to recognize Israel, actually. Turkey and Iran were the two like Muslim countries, actually countries in general, who accepted and recognized Israel. And they didn't really care that, okay, Israel is killing Palestinians or is at war with the Arabs. They said, well, those are the Arabs. We're not Arab. So because they were secular, they were like, yeah, we recognize the state of Israel. And even Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the son, he also had good relations with the Zionists.
And is that who the Shah was? Is that Pahlavi was the Shah?
They're all the Shah. Like Reza Pahlavi was the Shah, the original. Okay. Then his son that was installed.
So it was a monarchy.
After the coup, that's Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who's also the Shah, like he's the Shah, and then because his father had died before, and then now the prince is also Reza Pahlavi. He's the one in Boston.
So it was a monarchy with the police state, and
yeah.
Okay, and so the first.
And they're Zionists.
So the first Shah was a Pahlavi. Was it a crypto Jew? Because a lot of the theory is that Ataturk was an undercover Jew.
I don't think they have that theory with Reza Pahlavi. His actual name was like Reza Khan, and this is early in the 20th century. So I don't think he was a crypto Jew.
Okay, and how were the Iranians able to overthrow? Because obviously the people must have been overwhelmingly against this Shah, against this regime. They act like everybody was on board with it, but clearly it seems like the majority of Iranians. What's the separation right now? Because again, right now the narrative is that the majority, PBD is going all over. You formerly, I think you were the last Muslims actually even going to show. And he's going everywhere saying, I'm a numbers guy. So 80% of Iranians hate the Ayatollah. Is that true? What's the separation? How were they able to overthrow the Shah if Iranians were, if they loved how liberal it was, and how separated is it today?
There's a lot of animosity towards the Shah because of his savak, like his police force, his secret police. They were very brutal. They cracked down on any kind of dissent. And there was just a lot of stratification, like economically. It seemed like a lot of the elite classes were benefiting and the lower classes were left out. So there was a lot of also communist sentiment. And so you had a figure like Khomeini, who comes and like advocates not only like Islamism and this kind of Shi'i revolutionary mindset, but also like bringing in some socialist aspects as well, like redistribution of wealth. And so he was able to unite a lot of factions, not just the Shia like religious factions. And yeah, it was a popular movement, and they were able to depose the Shah because of some of the tactics as well, because the protesters to the Shah, they were being told by Khomeini, like he was teaching them, that when the soldiers are, you know, pointing the gun at you, their rifles, and they want to kill you, you just throw flowers at them. Literally take flowers and throw it at them, and that will demoralize them. And they won't, like, yeah, some of you might die, but, you know, you'll be a martyr. You'll be a shaheed, and this is for a righteous cause. So that kind of protest tactic, peaceful protest tactic, was very effective. It was effective in kind of neutralizing the security forces.
Flowers won.
So the Shah was kind of the student movement, like, and a lot of the students were very active in this in Iran. They're the ones who started storming these government buildings and taking over. They took over the U.S. embassy, which caused the hostage crisis, because you had Americans being held hostage, and that was the start. That was the overthrowing of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi.
So the flowers beat the Shah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it, yeah. You can simplify.
Did they worship the flowers the way Modi did when he was standing next to Netanyahu? The Indian Prime Minister was just talking about how India is the motherland. The motherland, and Israel is the fatherland. He started worshiping the flowers for the Holocaust memorial. Were the Iranians worshiping the flowers too?
No, I don't think they were, but
okay.
It was a funny clip.
So what do you think the separation is now? How many Iranians, because it seems like most Western Iranians, they're like celebrating the fact that Trump and Epstein regime, Netanyahu, they're bombing their own country. It blows my mind that they're like so happy. Trump, you're the best man ever. Thank you for bombing my country and killing 160 schoolgirls that were going to school that day. They tried to learn math and they ended up getting killed by you. Thank you so much. What's the separation now? How many people are for and against the Ayatollah?
Nothing but that.
Well, it's hard to say because things are changing very fast. But because he was assassinated by the U.S., Khamenei was, that's creating a huge boost in the popularity of the Islamic Republic. Exactly. Like basically, Trump made Khamenei a martyr and a legend, like in the eyes of many Shia. Because at one point, like you have a large, like silent majority of Shia. Because you have a lot of religious Shia who aren't necessarily supporters of the Islamic Republic. They weren't supporters of Khamenei. But the fact that Khamenei was killed like this by the great Satan, that's like really raised his value in the eyes of some of these Shia. So a lot of these Shia in Iran are actually becoming more radicalized, like not more radicalized, but they're becoming like big supporters, like hardcore supporters of the Islamic Republic. And then you have the moderates who are shifting and they're becoming conservative. So everything is like being pushed to the right, basically, in terms of support for the government there.
Okay.
And this is one of the unintended effects. I don't know how Trump and his advisors like didn't realize, maybe because they were just taking orders from Bibi, but the effect of these airstrikes, taking out the leadership, taking out Khamenei, is that they're uniting the entire country behind Khamenei, behind the Islamic government.
I think that there's something to say that maybe this was a trap set by Khamenei, that he strategically allowed himself to be martyred like that. He knew that they were going to try to get him because he's 86 years old and reportedly he had cancer. So if he actually was assassinated by the Epstein regime, look at the effect that it's had on the axis of resistance. Look how it's woken people up. I've never seen Pakistan, Yemen, Iran, this united. The people there, I've never seen this sort of warrior spirit awaken within them. And for them, now they understand what's going on. First, they burned the ball statue with Netanyahu and Trump on it with the Star of David flag and the American flag. Now they saw that they assassinated the guy that was leading their movement. and all they seem to be completely activated. So potentially, I don't know what you think. Did he allow himself to be assassinated specifically because it was a strategic war move? Because he proved something that the Epstein regime will never be able to do. Netanyahu, where is he? In Germany hiding? Trump is going to advocate and say, more Americans are going to die. But, you know, like his family are never going to fight. He dodged the draft. So he's getting Americans to die for Netanyahu and for Israel. They've admitted now that Iran didn't even pose an imminent threat on America. Can't believe they're saying this. Marco Rubio is saying they didn't even pose a threat. It was just an existential threat. So we need to get rid of it now. Do you think that this, not only is it waking people up because it's proving the difference in mentality, but did he allow himself to be martyred?
It's possible. Like, it's possible that that he just made this like final gesture, final move. But, you know, I don't think he would put his own, like, willingly put his wife at risk and his daughter and granddaughter. I don't think he willingly did that. Maybe they chose to stick with him. Maybe they chose to be with him in those times. So I don't know. But yeah, it's very possible that he knew that this would be a rallying cry, like his death would actually unite the country. And it's like it's 100% on brand, like for Shiism. Like if you understand Shiism, it's part of Islam too. It's not just Shia, but the Shia really emphasize this idea of us versus the world, like overwhelming odds. They actually like to be the underdog. Like if they're not the underdog, like something is wrong, like in the Shia consciousness. Like that's part of the Islamic revolutionary spirit. And if you have your main leader, because Khamenei was succeeding Khomeini, like everyone knows Khomeini, he was the leader of the revolution in 1979 that deposed the Shah. And then Khamenei replaced Khomeini. But Khomeini died of like natural causes. Like he either had cancer or he had a heart attack. He just died. He wasn't martyred. Khamenei, however, like is being martyred, and that's like 100% on brand. You're killed by the great Satan. Like that's how
Literally,
like
bro.
Hussein died. Like Hussein was also killed by an oppressive tyrant, Yazid, and not only was he killed, his family was killed in the most brutal, unjust way, and that's the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's something that Sunnis also believe, obviously, and it's also something that we aspire to have the bravery of Hussein to go against all odds and stand up for justice, even at the cost of our own lives.